What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video today we're going to build a complete invoice automation system with a graphical user interface in Python. So let us get right into it. So before we get into the coding, I would like to give you a motivational preview up front of what we're going to end up with here. This is our invoice automation application. We have a couple of fields here that we can enter information into, and then this is going to create a customized invoice and it's going to export it as a PDF. So for example, I can say the company I'm working with is the XYZ company. Then they live at Fantasy Street 123. The zip code is something like this, the country USA, let's say. Then the invoice number is something like this. Then the service description is teaching coding, 2 hours, and let's say $150 per hour. And the payment method here is the main bank. And then I just have to click on create invoice. I can go to the desktop and then I can export this here as invoice.pdf. Then you can see invoice created and saved successfully. And then I can go to the desktop and you can see the customized invoice. So I have this template, but I also have the information inside of it. So XYZ company, Fantasy Street, the zip code USA, the invoice number, also the date, then also the service description, the amount, the single price of $150, then also the full price, so the calculation here, 2 times $150, and also the payment method that I chose. This is my main payment method. If I choose a different one, I'm going to have different bank details down there. So this is what we're going to build in this video today. All right, so we're going to build an invoice automation system in Python today. And the first step to do that is to create a template that contains the basic structure of our invoice alongside with some placeholders that we can spot and replace using our automation system to customize the invoice. So in my case here, I have this template.docx file. I can open it in the files and then I can open it in OnlyOffice here on Linux. And you can see that this contains the basic structure of my invoice. I have my logo in here. I have some made up company information that is always going to be the same. This is about my company. Then I have here some placeholders like the partner, so the company that I'm working with, the partner street, the partner zip code, and so on, the date placeholder, the amount placeholder, the service description placeholder. So everything that contains these square brackets is basically a placeholder, and the rest is static. It's always the same. And you can see also we have some bank data down here. This is the docx file that I'm going to use as a template. You can create whatever file you want. Just make sure that you have certain keywords that will be replaced. So you want to have something like amount in square brackets. You can also use curly brackets. It doesn't really matter. You just need something that will be replaced by the automation system. That will be spotted in the template. That's the basic idea. And the rest will always stay the same. So for this video today, we're going to use docx files because we're going to use an external Python package called docx, which focuses on docx files. So we're not going to use any other formats, but this also works on Linux, and we're going to convert them in the end to PDF. So the output will be a PDF file, but in between, we're going to work with docx files for the customization and automation process. The rest is going to be done in core Python. We're only going to use core Python packages except for docx. So what you need to do is you need to open up your command line, pip or pip3 install docx. And once you have that, we can, or actually, sorry, I think this is not correct. Let me just double check. I think docx is not the correct package. I think it's called Python docx. Yeah, we need Python docx. So don't use docx, pip3 uninstall docx, use Python docx. So pip3 install Python -docx. This is the package that we need in this video today. All right, so we're going to start by saying import OS. We're going to also import subprocess. We're going to import tkinter as tk. This is for the graphical user interface. From tkinter, we're going to import the file dialog, and from tkinter, we're also going to import the message box. And then also, maybe let's do this up here, import datetime as dt. And then finally also import docx, the external Python package. All right, now our application will be a class. So we're going to create a class invoice automation like this. And in the init method, we're basically going to construct a graphical user interface. So we're going to say that there is a root window or a root application, which is a TK instance. And then to this root window, we're going to add all the components. So we're going to have a couple of labels. We're going to have a couple of entries, so text boxes. We're going to have a drop-down menu, and we're going to have a button to actually create the invoice. So first of all, we're going to say self-root will have a title invoice automation, and it will have a geometry, so a certain size, and this size will be 500 times 600. All right, so what I'm going to do now first is I'm going to add all the labels, or I'm going to create all the labels. I'm going to create all the entries. I'm going to create all the buttons, and then I'm going to add them in the correct order. So I'm going to say self dot partner label, and of course you need for each placeholder in your template, you need to make sure that you have some value to put in there, because of course you need to replace all of them. So either you have for each placeholder a text box, or for example, in the case of a drop-down menu, I will use a dictionary to map certain choices to a set of keywords. I'm gonna show you what I mean by that in a second here. So the partner will be the first template, or the first placeholder in the template. If I open this up again, you will see we have the partner, and that's the value of our first text box. So I'm going to say partner label is going to be equal to a TK label, which is going to have the text partner, and that will be part of the root window. So self-root as a parent, and then the text is going to be partner. Now we're going to do that for all the different placeholders that we want to input manually. So for the partner label, for the partner street label, for the partner zip city country label, so whatever you want to put in there. Then also for the invoice number label. Now this might be a little bit tedious because it's quite repetitive, but for the service description label, you can of course also do this yourself and just skip this part of the video. For the service amount label, and then also for the service single price label, and of course for the payment method label. Now the payment method will be a drop-down choice, so we're going to have our payment method, but it will include the recipient, the bank, the bank number, and the bank identification. I'm not sure actually what these acronyms stand for, but this is basically your account number, and this is your bank identifier or something. But those four pieces of information will be combined in one selection in the drop-down menu. So we're not going to input all of them separately or manually. So here we're going to say street, here we're going to say zip country, or yeah, zip country. Then here we're going to say invoice number. Here we're going to say service description. Here we're going to say service amount. Here we're going to say service single price. And here we're going to say payment method. All right. So these are now just the labels. They're just text showing what comes next. And what comes next is going to be the entries. Now, before we go to the entries into the drop-down menu, we're going to define the dictionary that contains our payment methods. So we're going to say self.payment, payment underscore methods, is going to be a dictionary that maps certain choices, certain strings to the information for this section in the template. So in my case, for recipient, bank, and these two numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to have a main bank, and the main bank has the following values, or the following mappings. It's going to be the recipient is going to be Neural 9 company. Now, of course, this should be, if it's an actual invoice automation system, the correct information. I'm just going to make up something right now. I'm going to have the bank being equal to Hello World Bank, for example. And I want to have the, I'm not even sure what this is pronounced in English, IBAN, EBAN, IBAN, whatever. This value here is going to be XY 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 1 2 3 4, whatever. And then the bank number or identifier will be A B C D E F G H, whatever. So this is one bank account. If I want to add another one, I just copy paste this and change the value. So I already have done this for 3 bank accounts. So I'm going to copy paste this to not waste any more of your time in this video here. So basically I just have main bank, second bank, private bank, same idea here. So I just changed the value slightly, and then we have 3 different bank accounts that I can choose from. The idea is, instead of entering all of this information every time, I can just choose which bank I want to be paid at. So which bank the payment should go to, and then I can just select it for the invoice. All right, so let's go to the entries. We're going to say self.partner. Actually, we can copy paste all of these here, and we can change certain aspects. So first of all, the label should be changed to entry. So I'm going to use a substitution here with Vim. I'm going to say turn label to entry in this selection. And also for the uppercase label, I want to do the same thing. So turn the uppercase label to uppercase entry. And of course, now we don't have any text anymore. So I'm going to replace this as well here, like that. That's the basic idea. And for most of the stuff, this is actually what we need to do. The only thing that we cannot leave like that is the payment method, because that's not going to be an entry. This is going to be a string variable, and it's going to be linked to a drop-down menu, to an option menu. So we're going to say self.payment method is going to be equal to a tk string variable, part of self root. And we're going to say that the default value of the payment method is going to be set to main bank. So to this one. But we will link this to a UI component, the dropdown. So self, and we're going to say payment method dropdown is going to be equal to tk option menu, which is part of self root, which is connected to the payment method. And we have the 3 options here. I hope I'm not blocking this. I'm not. Okay. We have the 3 options here: main bank, second bank, and private bank. Now I think we should actually also be able to do the same thing with the unpacking operators. So I think we should be able to do something like payment methods, or what was it, self.payment methods dot keys, and then we can just unpack this. However, yeah, I'm just gonna do it like this. All right, so we have that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to also add the create button. So self.create button is going to be a tk button, part of self root. It will have a text create invoice, and it will be linked to a function. The command is going to be equal to self.create invoice. We don't have that yet, so we're going to need to create it. For now, I'm just going to say create invoice will be a method, and I will just put a pass so that we don't have to implement it yet. But this is our create button. All right, so we have all the UI elements. We have labels, we have entries, we have a drop-down, we have a button. All we need to do now is we need to add them all to the window. So we need to say, we want to have some padding options here, so I don't have to repeat this every single line. I'm going to say I always want to do fill X. I always want to do expand being equal to true, and I want to have a, actually this needs to be a string, sorry. I always want to have a padding in the X direction or on the X axis of 5, and a padding in the Y axis of 2. That is now, these are my options, and all I want to do now is I want to say self.partner. Actually, let me just copy all the UI elements so I don't have to write them out again manually. So I have the labels, and I also have the entries. I'm going to put them down here. What I want to do is I want to have a label and an entry. I want to have, where does this end? This is here. I want to have this, and I want to put it after this. And I want to have this, and I want to put it after this. I want to have this. I want to put it after this. This after this. This after this. This after this. Then we have also our payment method drop down, and then we have our button. Now, instead of creating these elements again, after the equal sign, I want to do a, or actually before the equal sign, I want to do a pack. So I'm going to actually use a macro now to to make this easier. So I'm going to use or actually, let's not use a Vim macro to not make it uninteresting for people that don't use Vim. So I'm just going to go and say .pack and padding options. And then I'm just going to use the repeat functionality. That should be good enough. What's the issue here? What do you mean on partner entry should be a... Oh, I think I deleted this. This is not good, sorry. So this will take some time now again. I think I didn't... Yeah, I actually removed it from here. I wanted to copy it. Okay, so we need to do this again. All right, so let's do it quickly. There you go. 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 And also these two down here. Okay. So again, the only thing that we're going to do now is we're going to replace all of this stuff here by a pack with the padding options. And I'm going to do that quickly by just using the dot functionality in Vim. Just repeat the last operation. There you go. I'm going to do this for all the UI elements. And this should be it. Right. Okay, so we added everything to our UI. The only thing left to do is to say self.root.mainLoop, and then we can actually see if the UI works out. So if the name is equal to __main __, we're gonna just create an instance of the invoice automation, and we should get this user interface. It works, it looks fine, it doesn't have any functionality, obviously, but the UI is done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to implement the process of actually filling up the invoice with information. So filling the template, replacing the placeholders, and then exporting all of this as a PDF file. So the first thing we want to have is we want to have a static method. So I'm going to use a static method decorator here, and this is going to be the replace text method. And this method is just going to take a paragraph from docx later on, and it's going to replace old text with new text. That's the functionality here. So we're going to say if old text in paragraph text, because not always will you have this text in every paragraph, so only if the text is contained there. What we want to do is we want to do paragraph text is equal to paragraph text dot replace old text by new text. Nothing too fancy. All right. So this is a static method that we're going to use in our create invoice function. We're not going to need any other functions. Everything else will be done in the create invoice function. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to load the document using docx. So we're going to say docx.document, and we're going to load the template.docx file. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the selected payment method. Because next, after this, we're going to define the whole replacement dictionary. But to know how to replace the bank information, we need to know which bank was selected. So selected payment method is equal to self.paymentmethods and then self.paymentmethod.get. The basic idea is we have this dictionary of payment methods, and we want to get the one that our string variable up here, where is it? That this string variable has right now by being selected here in the dropdown. That's the basic idea. And what we do then is we try to define the following replacement mappings. So we say replacements is equal to a dictionary. And this dictionary now will contain certain replacements. First of all, we want to replace the date. And before we do that, let me just add an except block here. We're going to define this in a second. But the first thing we want to do is we want to take the date and we want to replace it by the date of today in a certain format. So we want to do dt date time today, string format time, and then we want to use the following format. We want to use the year dash the month dash the day. And of course you can change that to whatever format you like, but I'm going to do it like this for the sake of this tutorial. And for the most part, the rest is quite simple. All we have to do is we have to define which one we're interested in, partner, for example. And we have to replace it. So remember, we have all these keywords here: partner, partner street, partner zip, city, country, invoice number, service description. All of them need to be replaced. And what we're going to do is we're going to say self.partnerentry.get. That's it. And we're going to do that for all the different fields that we have. We're going to do that for partner street. We're going to do that for partner zip, city, country. You need to be accurate with the placeholders here, because otherwise they're not going to be replaced. We need to do that with the invoice number. We want to do that with the service description and the amount. So service description, amount, and we want to do that with the single price. We also want to do that with the full price, which is not a part of the entries here. We need to do a calculation for this one. So we're going to change that in a second. And we want to do that for the bank name, or actually it was just bank. We want to do the same for the, actually, first of all, the recipient, the bank, then this account number and the bank identification. And how we do that is we just replace this again by street entry. We replace this by partner zip, city, country entry. We replace this by invoice number entry. We replace this by service description entry, by service amount entry. Now here, for the amount and for the single price entry, what we want to do is we want to actually use something specific. Now for the amount, we don't want to do actually anything, but for the single price, we want to use a formatted string where this is part of the formatted string, but not all of it, because we want to add a $sign in the beginning, because I don't want to just have a number there. I want to have a currency as well. So $, and then I need to use float of that value, and I want to use this accurate up to 2 decimal places, so 0.2f. So I'm taking the string, I'm turning it into a float, and then I'm showing it up to 2 decimal places with $. Now for the full price, what we want to do is we want to do a calculation. So I want to do a formatted string. I want to also use a $sign, and then I want to use the following. I want to say float of self.serviceAmountEntry.get times float of self.service, what was it, service single price entry dot get, and the whole thing actually, let me just think about this for a second. Yeah, so we do a get here as well. We typecast it, we do the multiplication, and in the end we do 0.2f as well. So that's the calculation. For the recipient, we do selected payment method recipient. Actually, let me just copy paste this, it's easier. And what's the problem here? Did I not close something? Yeah, I didn't close something, so I need to have a comma here in the end. I'm going to indent this, and here we're just going to replace again bank, this and this, and then we're going to do the same thing here. So bank, this and this. There you go. All right, so these are now the mappings, the replacements. Everything you see on the left will be replaced by everything you see on the right. So everything that is here should be covered by everything on the left, and everything on the right should be provided by the application. That's the basic idea. Now, in the case that we have a value error, because for some reason I cannot do the typecasting here, in this case, I want to show a message box. I want to show an error message box saying error, invalid amount, or price, because the typecasting didn't work, so I get a value error. And I want to return in this case, so I don't want to finish, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to say it doesn't work, stop, and try again. In the case everything worked, what I want to do is I want to go through all the paragraphs, so for paragraph in list doc paragraphs. For all the paragraphs, I want to replace the old text and by the new text. So for old text and new text in our replacements, we're going to iterate over the replacement items here, over these pairs, old text, new text, and we're going to say self.replace text, our static function, and we want to replace in the paragraph that we currently have the old text with the new text. Now this is just a little bit more modular if you do it like this. You can also do it directly down here. But that's the basic idea. And then we want to do the same thing for the tables, because this here does not include the tables. So what we want to do is we want to say for table in doc tables, for row in table rows, for cell in row cells. So we go through all the cells, and in the cells we might have paragraphs. So for paragraph, actually I think then we can just copy this here. So we can say for paragraph in cell dot paragraphs, we do the same thing. So that's the idea. So all the replacement should be done in paragraphs and in the tables. And then once all of this is replaced and done, we say save path is equal to the user is allowed to choose a destination. So file dialog dot ask save as file name. The default extension here is going to be .pdf. And the file types that are allowed here are going to be just one, a tuple of PDF as a, or let's call this PDF documents. And this is going to allow everything .pdf. That's the basic file type that we support here. Then we're going to save our doc file. So we're going to save this as filt.docx. So this is going to be the template replaced, all the values replaced, filt. And then we're going to save this as a docx file, and we're going to use LibreOffice to convert this to a PDF file. Now on Windows, you can also use a Python package called docx to PDF. You just have to install this using pip. So pip install docx to PDF, and then you can do from docx to PDF, you can import convert, and then you can just call the convert function onto filt.docx, and then you can pass the save path. This is how it works on Windows if you have Word installed. If you don't have Word installed because you're on Linux, you use LibreOffice. So you open up your terminal, you use your package manager to install LibreOffice. So sudo apt install LibreOffice on Debian-based distributions, for example, and then you can use it in the command line using subprocess. So you can say subprocess.run, and you can say LibreOffice, run this in headless mode, so without a user interface, then convert to PDF, and then our document filt.docx, then our out directory will be the current directory, so just a dot. I'm going to say check equals true. And this is going to be the command to export this as a PDF. And then we rename the PDF. So we say os rename the filt.pdf, which is going to be the default name. We move that to the save path. Rename is basically a move. So we move the filt PDF file that is the result of LibreOffice converting the filt.docx to this PDF file. We take this and we move this to the save path. That's basically it. And if all of this works, we say message box, show info, success, invoice created and saved successfully. There you go. And that is it. This is our application. Let's see if it works. We run this. I can say now, I don't know, let's say we collaborate with, I don't know, Pythonic company. Then the partner street is, I don't know, Pythonia Street 123. The zip code is something like this. The country is Python. The invoice number is P something. The service description is freelance development. Service amount is 5 hours of 200 per hour. And I want to use my second bank. Create the invoice. I can choose a location. I'm going to save it here in the current directory. Let's export this as invoice PDF. Save. And I got a problem. Why is that? Must be an issue. Let me see if I mess up something with the command here. LibreOffice headless convert. Oh, actually, this is convert-2, not convert_2. So I will have to re-enter all of this again. Let's go Pythonic company, Pythonia Street, 1232, whatever. Some zip code with Python as a country. Then the invoice number is P something. Service description is freelance development. 5 hours, 200, and then second bank. Create invoice, invoice PDF, save. And there you go, invoice created and saved successfully. If I try to do that with text here, it says invalid amount or price. Okay, let's look at the invoice, open in files, and you will see we have a date, we have Pythonic company, Pythonia Street, we have this, we have the invoice number, we have freelance development, 5 times 200, $1,000, and we have our bank information here, the second bank chosen. This is how you build an invoice automation system in Python. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video and bye.